In a quiet town in South Texas, the Treviño brothers, Carlos and Mateo, were like most teenagers on the surface. They played basketball at the local park, helped their mother with errands, and dreamed about one day leaving their small town behind. But behind closed doors, life inside their home was far from normal. Their stepfather, Javier Treviño, was a man with a stern face and a temper that seemed to ignite without warning. To neighbors, he looked like a hard-working mechanic. But to Carlos and Mateo, he was a storm that never passed. Nights were filled with slammed doors, raised voices, and the constant dread of what might happen next. Rosa married Javier hoping he would bring stability and be the father figure her boys needed. But his mask soon slipped. Discipline turned to intimidation and lectures into harsh verbal attacks. By the time Carlos was 16 and Mateo 14, the brothers had grown protective, not just of themselves, but of their mother. They watched how she shrank under Javier's glare, how she nervously double-checked dinner, how she forced a smile when neighbors asked how things were at home. The boys silently promised each other that one day they would no longer let fear rule their lives. On a sweltering July evening, Javier came home furious after a customer refused to pay, carrying his rage through the door. Rosa's gentle greeting couldn't calm him, and this time his anger exploded on Mateo, attacking his grades, his laziness, even his very existence. Carlos stepped forward. For the first time, he didn't stay silent. "Stop talking to him like that," he said, his voice shaking but firm. Mateo stood behind him, wide-eyed, knowing something irreversible was about to happen. Javier froze, shocked that the boy he once barked orders at was daring to confront him. Then Javier laughed, a low, bitter sound, and muttered, "You think you're men now?" But Carlos didn't back down. Neither did Mateo. Together they stood between Javier and their mother, their bodies trembling but unyielding. In that moment, the Treviño brothers crossed a line. They weren't just sons anymore. They were protectors. Rosa, seeing her boys take a stand, found courage of her own. Carlos and Mateo encouraged her to speak to the authorities. They deserved a life without fear. When the truth surfaced, the community's image of Javier shattered. But for the Treviño brothers, it was never about gossip. It was about reclaiming their home. The legal process was not swift. Javier denied the accusations, claiming the boys were exaggerating. But the consistency of Rosa's testimony, along with the courage of Carlos and Mateo, carried weight. Eventually, restraining orders were issued, and Javier was forced to leave. The house felt different after that, lighter, freer. There were still scars, invisible ones, but they began to heal together. Rosa started working extra shifts, and Carlos found a part-time job to help out. Mateo, once quiet and withdrawn, joined the school soccer team. Slowly, laughter returned to their home. The confrontation had done more than drive Javier out. It had cemented a bond between the brothers. They had faced the storm together, and in doing so, they had discovered their strength. Years later, the Treviño brothers would look back at that night as the moment their lives changed forever. Carlos went on to study criminal justice, determined to help families like his own. Mateo pursued social work, drawn to the idea of giving a voice to those too afraid to speak. Their story became a quiet inspiration in their community. At church gatherings, in school hallways, people spoke about how the brothers had stood up, how they had reminded everyone that silence only protects the abuser, never the abused. For Carlos and Mateo, the lesson was clear. Bravery doesn't always look like fighting. It looks like refusing to accept fear as normal. By standing up to their stepfather, they didn't just protect their mother, they rewrote their future. They turned pain into purpose, fear into resilience, and silence into a story that could help others.